Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, moves into Virgo September 19th, where she will be through October 13th, changing the tone and the vibration around love, relationships, art, beauty, and justice. Hello, I'm Eliane Nicole, your astrologer and tarot reader, bringing you the planetary transits to help you surf these cosmic currents with awareness, grace, and alignment. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers by my birthday, October 8th. If you could help me get there by, interacting with the content or sharing it with people that you know like astrology, I would really appreciate that. And of course, book a reading with me. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world, and I would love to read for you. And now, without further ado, I'm going to get into the transit of Venus traveling through Virgo. And to the ancients, Venus was considered in her detriment in Virgo, or in her fall in Virgo. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and Virgo opposes Pisces. So that's why they considered her in her detriment. And so sometimes that can mean difficult times in relationships, or difficult dynamics in relationships rather. And but there's also many good sides to Venus and Virgo. I happen to have Venus and Virgo in my natal chart, so I know her very well. The good, the bad, and the neutral. There's not that much neutral with Venus and Virgo, though, I'll say. So, to start with, we're in the eclipse portal as Venus enters Virgo this year, and the eclipse that's coming on September 21st is in Virgo. And so Venus has entered the conversation of what is going on around this eclipse. And this Virgo energy and this Virgo sector of our chart is really important right now. And this is a developing story, really since the new moon of Virgo on August 22nd. And as Venus enters, she's at the same point of that new moon. So she's starting the journey, heading towards the eclipse. And so, the eclipse is on the mutable axis. Venus and Virgo, it's a mutable sign. Venus and Virgo can be fickle in love. Venus and Virgo can be very critical in love. She can be overly analytical and too in her head about love and romance. And so these are things that you can see expressing as Venus moves through Virgo. It may be you, it may be people around you. If you're a Taurus or Libra rising, Venus is your chart ruler, so Venus is going to represent you usually. If you have a lot of Libra or a lot of Taurus in your chart, whether or not, it's your sun, moon, or rising, but like say you have a stellium in Virgo, this Venus transit will be interacting with your stellium, and so it will be very personal to you. People with a lot of Pisces placements, this is going to be oppositional to your placements, so it's probably going to be where you're experiencing tests and challenges in love, or coming to an impasse with your partner about something, or there could be too much criticism in the relationship, or expecting a perfect ideal that can't be met. Things like that can come up when Venus is in Virgo for people with Pisces placements. For people with Gemini placements, Venus in Virgo will square your placements as when she gets to the degree of your placements. And so these are both very mental signs. And so, internally for people, this can bring up anxiety when Virgo and Gemini are squaring off. It can bring up also just like bickering or, verbal jousting, witty, clever kind of like sarcastic comments, things that can like, hurt people's feelings. And then the square off with Sagittarius is just really like, pessimism versus optimism, those kinds of issues mainly. And so that's kind of the general overview of how she's affecting. The mutable axis is having the most challenging time probably. And again, this is only going to be in the realm of relationships, art, beauty, style, design, justice, pleasure, attraction. And in my YouTube videos, I do the planetary ingresses as they happen, and I do a look ahead at all of the transits. I've now started a TikTok where I'm doing the daily transits as they happen. So with the TikTok, there's not as much lead time. With the YouTube, you get a little bit more of a look ahead at what's coming with each planet. With the TikTok, I'm talking about every planet that's happening that day. So slightly different formats. Follow me there if you haven't already. I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube. But yeah, let me get into the aspects that Venus and Virgo is making. And I'm not going to take it through the 12 rising signs, but if you do put your rising sign in the comments, I will tell you where Venus and Virgo is moving through your chart and what you might expect during this transit, which is just like 2.5 week transit. Or maybe it's a 3-week transit, something like that. But September 19th to October 13th, you do the math. So on September 20th, Venus is going to square Uranus. So this is something shocking in the realm of relationships, love, art, beauty, style, design, justice, pleasure, sex, or attraction. Venus square Uranus can bring like a sudden kind of transgression from a relationship that someone wasn't expecting to do, that just happens. That's like the shadow. Venus square Uranus can also represent experimenting sexually. But it can also represent experimenting with style or beauty or design. Venus square Uranus can bring defiance. You can see like the revolutionary impulse or defiance being like stimulated in women. It can bring a surprising or shocking situation with your sister or with your daughter or with your girlfriend. And yeah, it can be experimenting with style or beauty that goes wrong, especially because Venus is in her detriment. So I wouldn't look at this as a good day for cosmetic surgery or like dyeing your hair a new color or getting a new haircut. I would stay away from all of that when Venus is square Uranus. And there's a host of other ways that can present. It's at 1 degree, it's in Gemini and Virgo. And so there can be kind of an anxious quality to this transit. It can bring up angst in terms of relationships, art, beauty, all of these kinds of things. Writing, it can be a challenge for writers, that aspect. But it's very good creatively to work with. On September 22nd, Venus in Virgo is going to square Vesta in Sagittarius. And Vesta in Sagittarius has really been in play ever since she's moved in. And Vesta is the high priestess asteroid, and she's a very complex asteroid. Sometimes she has to do with sexual stuff, sometimes she has to do with spiritual stuff, sometimes she has to do with scholastic stuff, sometimes she has to do with artistic stuff. She has to do with like devotion and what is sacred to us. And as she's traveling through Sagittarius, she is inviting us to devote ourselves to something that we believe in, that is bigger than ourselves, that is higher than ourselves, that is greater than ourselves. And as she squares Venus, it might be that our own critical nature, being critical of ourselves, being critical of others, being critical of this, that, or whatever, is coming between us and our devotion somehow. So that's something to look at. And then on another level, this can also show that maybe someone isn't as devoted to a romantic relationship or an artistic endeavor or a cause and justice as you maybe thought they were. And maybe that's causing a conflict or a challenge. And that person could be you, and it could be someone else. On October 4th, she's opposing the North Node in Pisces. And so this is bringing maybe oppositional forces up in romantic relationships. There may be like a spiritual issue that is coming up, and it's causing a block in the relationship being able to move forward in the right direction. This can feel like a loss of direction around romance or art or style or justice. It may be feeling like you are overwhelmed, confused, vague, foggy in the realm of love and romance, art, beauty, relationship. And obviously this is going to affect Virgos and Pisces the strongest, but also other water signs and earth signs who have anything at 18 degrees, but really 15 to 21 degrees. And so all of the general transits that I talk about always depend on your own personal astrology, and different signs are affected differently by these transits. On October 8th, Jupiter, my birthday, is forming a sextile. So Venus in Virgo is forming a sextile with Jupiter in Cancer. This is an opportunity for creativity, for growth, for fertility. This can be very romantic and loving. It's showing a lot of emotional support in terms of relationships and art and beauty. It can even be like financial support. In general, this is a very auspicious alignment when the two benefics meet, but it is a sextile. It's subtle, and so you have to recognize the blessing to receive it. You have to co-create with it. Obviously, Cancers and Virgos will feel this the most strongly, but there will be, all the earth and water signs. This will be in an aspect to you, especially if you're anywhere from 20 degrees to 26 degrees with any earth or water placements. This will express personally for you. On October 11th, the last aspect that Venus is making before she moves into Libra, which hooray for Venus and Libra. Stay tuned for that video because that is much better days for love, romance, art, beauty, and everything. But on October 11th, Venus opposing Saturn in Pisces at 26 degrees, 59 minutes. So basically at 27 degrees. And this is echoing her opposition to the North Node that I just talked about. But this is a reality check. in love and romance or art or beauty or style or design. It's a reality check from Saturn and Pisces, who is going back over things. And I mean, this can produce a sense of, there can be anxiety, melancholy, sometimes this can bring a rejection, a no, a hard boundary around relationships, art, beauty, love, style, design, these Venusian topics. This can bring an ending, a hard ending to a relationship where there is just no longer a spiritual alignment, or, not going in the same direction. This can also, and this opposition is the same opposition that the solar eclipse is making. And so it is part of the reverberation that will be going on after the solar eclipse on September 21st, which definitely brings a hard, like a certain ending, goodbye, finality. So, in conclusion, please make sure that you've subscribed to my channel. Please contact me for a reading. And, life is lifing, the world is worlding. Stay heavily meditated, my friends.